Hello everyone, I'm Richard. This is my 2001 Dyna FXDL lowrider. If you've been following along with the build series on this bike, you'll notice that it's a lot different than the previous videos. Unfortunately, a lot of the files of me doing the modifications you see here have been corrupted, so in this video I'm going to go over a lot of the modifications that I've done since the last video, and we'll document them here in chronological order. So one of the first things I did since the last update was buy this vivid black front fender on eBay. It was a great price, and the vivid black goes with the Rust-Oleum black that I painted the rest of the bike. It looks real good, and I didn't have a front fender when I first purchased the bike, so it definitely helps tie the front end together compared to what it used to look like. The second thing I did was install this 4-inch LED light bar from eBay. It was around $10, and it's I bent up a bracket for it to mount it underneath the triple tree. It's not as bright as some people may want their fog light bar to be, but I think it's pretty cool. It fits right in between the forks on this 30 and 39 millimeter front end. A lot of the light bars that you can buy for these bikes stick way far out, like underneath the headlight here, and I think that looks kind of cheesy. So this one is real cool. It's one off, so there's not any around, which is makes it kind of unique. It's just a light bar, but it's still pretty cool. I ran the switch up here into the mounting bracket for the T-Sport fairing, and it's pretty cool. I didn't want to run it in conjunction with the headlight switch because I wanted them to be on two different switches. So another thing I did on this front end is actually inside the T-Sport fairing currently. I took a piece of aluminum 4x4 fence post and I cut it and bent it up to be the support for this headlight. So when I got the bike, there really wasn't one. It was kind of just chilling there. So what this does is it allows you to use the factory 2001 Harley-Davidson headlight that has a bolt on the top instead of having a headlight block on the bottom. And it adapts it to use the T-Sport fairing, which is real cool. It's real sturdy. There's 3 points of adjustment within the bracket I built, and it's really on there. It turned out really good. I powder coated it matte black to match the rest of the bike, which you'll soon see some of the other things I've done. Moving to the back of the bike, I 3D printed this lay down license plate bracket. This allows the plate to sit down instead of having it at the factory spot, which is just straight up. So it looks a lot better like this, and it was free because I 3D printed it. I just used regular PLA filament. It turned out great, and it's really on there, which is good because I don't want it to fly off. It's pretty cool. It was an upgrade that I didn't have to spend money on, which is nice when you're building a bike. So yeah. One of the biggest visual changes you'll see in how the bike sits now versus the last video I made on it is this Saddleman seat. I always wanted this seat, and my beautiful girlfriend behind the camera was freaking surprised me on Christmas with it, which I am still in shock about. It's really cool. I love the way it looks, and I love even more how it feels. It just feels fantastic, and it's really cool. It's very comfortable riding whatever you do, whether it's short distance or long distance. I like how it keeps you tucked into the seat. It's instead of going flying. Like if you guys saw the seat that I had, the factory, I don't know what it was, like wide glide seat that came on the bike. It was pretty. It was used, so you flew out of it. But this one, that's not the case. It's really great. I was out riding one day, and the bike bogged out and died on me. So I checked the fuel filter, and it was filled with shavings from the tank lining. And so I rigged myself up some weird stuff to get back home, and I decided it was time to try to clear out the tank as best I could and reseal it from the inside. So I used some, I don't know what it is, whether it's POR or POR 15 fuel tank sealer products to do that. I don't know how well that'll hold up over time, but it's working right now, which is what counts, I guess. And while I was doing that, I decided it would be a great idea to paint the entire tank. It had a few dings and a lot of scrapes and scratches in it. So it took about 2 weeks, and I used Rust-Oleum black as my base coat, and then I used an automotive 2K clear, which I then spent like 8 million hours wet sanding so it looks like glass. It turned out really good. I'm pretty proud of it, actually. One of my better painting projects so far. And so I resealed the inside of the tank. I painted the outside. I put a new fuel petcock on it, and I also put a new in-tank fuel filter to stop if it ever decides to flake again. It'll catch it there instead of getting into my filter outside, so that'll save my fuel system and won't leave me bogging out. So yeah, so that worked out pretty well. It was a long process, but it was definitely worth it. I didn't leave. I took off all the logos. I really like how it looks with just gloss black. It's really sleek and cool. You guys will see the whole vision when it comes together. You know, this is just one part of the video series. So yeah. One of the most recent things I've done was add this voltmeter right here. I was inspired to do that from a Thrash and Supply bike check video. I think it's really cool, and I always hear things about charging issues on these bikes, so I figured that I might as well have one. I did not run the wires yet for it, but I'm going to do that soon. I'm going to wire them through the bars so it'll look real clean and nice. I'll run the wires into a sub harness I'll build that I'll put through the frame, which is another thing to mention in this. Kind of not really a mod or anything. When I was doing the seat and fuel tank, I noticed that some of the wiring was on the outside of the frame, and I wanted to put it in the factory location that Harley does, run it through the top tube. So I did that with the help of my girlfriend, who showed me that it would be easier if I used a dipstick to fish it through, which worked perfectly actually. So shout out to her. So all the wires are up in the frame now, nothing hanging down, which looks real good when the odd 1 out of 100 million people look down at it. You won't see any wires hanging out. On the topic of this though, I made this bracket and powder coated it black, which you can see is the theme here. I already mentioned the headlight mount that I did. But on the other side here, I made this quick little air cleaner cover that I powder coated matte black. It helps keep the black look. Before it was just silver. You guys know what they look like when they just have the filter on them. So this looks way better. I'm not the biggest fan of these filters just because it leaves everything right out in the open. But we'll see what we can do about that in the future. While I'm over here though, I have kind of a bonus section that I'd like to talk about. The reason why it's a bonus is because I didn't do it. But this motor has always made this motor's made some weird noises. They're not crazy, but it just makes some weird noises sometimes. So I wanted to open up the cam chest and see how the tensioners were doing because I wanted to see how they were doing to make sure they weren't going to kick the bucket or anything. And I got a big surprise when I opened the cam chest. I'm sure some of you can tell where I'm going. I opened it up and it was the Screaming Eagle cam chest and all that kind of stuff, the Screaming Beagle, you know. And which is really cool. The previous owner of the bike, really cool dude, but he did not tell me about that, which is fine. It kind of sweetens the deal for me. The tensioners were in pretty great shape. You can tell they were a little used, but they still have a lot of life left in them. On the topic of the motor, I don't know if it has a 95 kit or if it's a stock 88. I would say it feels like a stock 88, but this is my first Dyna, so I don't know. But I'm sure I'll figure that out at some point, and I'll tell you guys. But that's a pretty cool plus. You definitely come up of finding out a bike you bought has that done to it, so that's pretty cool. Another thing worth mentioning that I will do a future video on is this toolkit I made for this bike right here that fits between the T-Sport fairing mounting brackets. It's a real cool spot. I found a bag on Amazon that fits everything I wanted to carry in it, and some people may argue it's not great to have 2 or 3 pounds over the front end, but it fits really good there before I get Leather Pros or something like that. Thank you guys for checking out this part in this video series of me building this Dyna. I have a lot more to do to it. There's a lot of things planned. I'm sure you guys will be stoked on what comes to it. If you guys like this kind of thing, consider subscribing. I do a lot more than just this on YouTube. I do older diesel stuff along with modern European sports cars and tools and Harley Davidsons and everything in between. So if any of that interests you, consider subscribing. I'd love to continue this journey with you guys. I just recently hit 1,000 Scroob Dubers on YouTube, and I'm super stoked. Thank you guys. Subscribe and like the video if you want to continue our sick ass journey together, and we'll build some really cool shit. So thank you guys.